Okay, so now we are going to use all this knowledge to create one bouncing animation. With the help of deformers, we will also add squash and stretch effect to that. Okay, so let's do one thing. First of all, we will create one ball. So for the ball, obviously we need to use this pair. I'll press ND on my keyboard so I can see those edges. I'll go to the objects and I'll simply increase one segment only. And now I'll select this object and I'll press C to make this object editable. I'll double click in materials and I'll apply this one material over here. Then I'm going to choose my polygons and press UL to select your loop cut. I'll select this by holding shift. Then by holding shift I'll select this, zoom in a little bit, this and this. Then double click to create another material and change the color of this material to, let's say, something like red, and simply apply this to the spaces, so we will get simple ball over here. Okay, and now we are going to animate this ball, but before that let's create one flow. So for the flow I'm going to choose plane like this, select this plane. I'm going to select my selection tool and let's move this over here. Let's increase the size of this and increase the size of this from here also, just like this. Okay, and now I'll select this ball initially. Let's select both of them and let's move them over here. Okay, so this is done. Now I'll select this ball and let's go to the right view, let's say, and move this ball over here. Okay, so I want this one should go from here to here in bouncing. So how we can do, let's make this timeline up to 90 frames. So I want this entire animation should be in this format up to 90 seconds. Okay, so from here to here, which means it should animate on z-axis. So I'll select this pair, I'll go to the coordinates, and as you guys know that we have to animate on z-axis, so I'll go to the start first. I'll create one keyframe at z, I'll go to 90 and I'll move this over here and I'll create another keyframe. Then I'll go to the start, and if I hit play I'll get this kind of animation. But that's just not it. So we don't want any some easy knees out for this Z animation. So right click, go to the animation, show F curve. Here simply hit Ctrl A and make this linear. Okay, so our speed is going to be the constant. Now it should animate in Y direction because it's bouncing. So I'll create one keyframe at Y over here. Then let's go to around 10 seconds maybe, and let's go to the right view, or let's say 15 seconds, and I'll bring this totally downwards like this. Okay, and I'll create one keyframe at Y. So as you guys can see, we'll get something like this. Let's make sure that it should touch this ground and then create keyframe. Then go to around 30 seconds. Now at this point it's not going to be totally upward, so it should go over here only. So I'll create one keyframe over here. Then I'll go somewhere around 45 maybe, and let's move this downwards like this. I'll create one keyframe, then go to around 60. Then again it should not go too much upwards, so I'll get to move this over here and let's create one keyframe, go to around, let's say, somewhere around over here maybe, and again bring this downwards like this. I'll create one keyframe, then in middle of that let's bring this upward up to here, create one keyframe, and at the start, I mean at the end, I'll move this again over here. Okay, like this. So our Y keyframes are also ready. So if I hit play now, I'll get something like this. Okay, but if you see this properly, this looks quite weird because it's not gaining that physics or something. It doesn't look like that. So what we can do, we need to adjust the graph speed of that. So for that we use F curve. So right click, go to the animation and show F curve over here like this, and with the help of this zoom in, we will increase it like this. Okay, let's move this over here, and with the help of this movements I will move my point over here and let's bring this outwards. Okay, so our graph is now properly adjusted. Now initially whenever something gonna come towards the ground, it will come slowly and then it will become faster. So now I'll select this graph and I'll move this like this. Okay, let's try to see and how does it looks. So if you see, we will get a little bit weird thing. So what we need to do, whenever this should come slowly and then at this point it should become fast. So I'll select this point, and by holding shift, because if I directly adjust this, as you guys can see, these two are going to have adjusted, so we don't want that. So I'll select this, and by holding shift I'm going to adjust this handle only like this. So even if you see the logic, your ball is going to drop like this. So if I see this now over here, it will initially it will slow, and then whenever it's going to come towards the ground, it will become a fast, and then it will hit the ground like this. And now when it goes upwards, it should be become a fast. So I'll select this, and by holding shift I'll select this handle and I'll adjust it like this. Okay, then let's move towards here. Now at this point speed should be normal, then again it's going to touch the ground, so this time it should be fast. So I'll select this, and by holding shift I'll adjust this graph like this. Okay, so if you see, we will get something like this. So with the help of that, again move this over here, then select this, by holding shift move this handle over here. We will select this, by holding shift I'll move this handle over here. Okay, then again we will go over here. I'll select this, by holding shift I'll move this handle over here. I'll select this, by holding shift I'll move this handle over here. Okay, so now if I see this animation, I'll get something like this. Okay, so this is how you can do stuff. Now we will add rotation animation. So I'll select this, and it should rotate on y-axis, maybe like this. So let's create one keyframe, and at this point, let's say I'm going to make it, let's say 360, let's say, and let's see how does it looks. So basically it's animating in different directions, so we need to make it minus 360, and then we will create keyframe. So if I see, I'll get one complete rotation. Then from here to, let's say, over here, I'm going to add again, we need to add 360. So because this is minus value, I'll type minus 360, so it will become 720, and then create one keyframe. So if you see, we will get that rotation for the ball like this. Then after that, again we will go somewhere around over here. Now we will add minus 360 and create one keyframe. Then at last again add minus 360 and create one keyframe. So if I go to the start, along with this we will get this rotation animation for this ball also. Okay, so now as you guys know that we have to add squash and stress animation. For that I'm going to use this bulge deformer. So simply enable this bulge deformer, move inside this sphere, select this and make it fit to parent. Okay, like this. So along with that ball, this bulge deformer is also going to play. And now whenever this is going to touch the ground, which means at 50 seconds, it should be a little bit caution. There should be a outer bulge towards this object. So I'll go few frame backwards. So suppose if you want to go few frame backward, so with the help of this option over here, go preview frame, I can go backward over here. And suppose if you want to go forward, you can go like this. And now suppose if I selected the sphere and I want to go toward the backward keyframe, with the help of this option, go to preview key, I can go over here, and if I select this, I can go forward. And if you want to go to the start, you can go to the start. Then with the help of that, you can go to the end. So this is how you can use these options. So now as I said, at this point we want bulge, so we are not going to directly create keyframe over here. Before that we should create one keyframe at 15. Let's create one keyframe of stretch at 15. We will go one frame forward, and this time I'm going to increase the bulge of this. Let's make it 50. Create one keyframe, go few frame forward, and let's make this 0 and create one keyframe. Let's do one thing. I'll select this keyframe and I'll move this over here. So if I see, I'll get this kind of bulge over here. Okay, so we same procedure we will follow for here also. Let's say at 43, I'll select this bulge, create one keyframe. 45, I'm right now I'm going to make it 40. I'll create one keyframe, go two frame forward, and let's make this 0 again. Okay, like this. Now now let's go over here. Now I'll go over at this point, which means at 75, go few frame backwards, go to the bulge, create one keyframe, go two frame forwards. Let's make this 30, create another keyframe, two frame forward, let's make this 0. Okay, like this. So now if I see this, let's deselect this object. I'll select this and I'll double click to hide this one. So this is how you can create that animation. So I'll press an A on my keyboard so I can see that animation like this. So with the help of all of this concept, you can create this kind of bouncing ball animation inside of Cinema 4D.